Tuli ne Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba ngono mumyuka wa Kyagulanyi Center mu Robert Bobi Wine President mu kitundu ekya Buganda. Tuli wano mu ggwanga United States of America USA mu lukuŋŋaana lwa National Unity Platform NUP Diaspora Convention 2023. NUP Diaspora Convention 2023 nkiddamu NUP Diaspora Convention 2023 mu lukuŋŋaana lwa National Unity Platform bana People Power banankyukakyuka olw'omwaka 2023. Lwali lwe luguddwawo kati nno Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba bw'asituse okwogerako eri abeetabye mu lukuŋŋaana luno bana People Power banankyukakyuka mu ggwanga lya America abajjumbidde omukolo guno abategeezezza nti waliwo we twasobezaamu ffe ng'aba National Unity Platform NUP People Power nti obubaka obugenda mu bavubuka ensangi zino tebukyali bwebo obw'enkyukakyuka nti abavubuka bagenda babeera disconnected n'obubaka bw'enkyukakyuka olw'ebitambula ebingi mu ggwanga Uganda ng'ate ekibiina kya National Unity Platform tekitendese baani abagenda okwogera ki ku mitimbagano egifulumya amawulire. Agamba nti abantu bangi bali ku mitimbagano boogera bibasanze bakola bibasanze omuvubuka oli ali e Uganda byakoppa era byatwala oluusi ebisinga nga bifu si bituufu ate nga tebiyamba struggle okugenda mu maaso nti n'olwekyo ng'ekibiina kya National Unity Platform musaana oba tusaana okuzuukuka tuve mu comfort zone gye tuli tutendeke abavubuka abamanyi okwogera ebigambo obulungi abanaatuusa obubaka obulungi obubaka obw'enkyukakyuka so obubaka obw'obuseegu so obubaka obw'akatemba so obubaka obw'okusojjagana so obubaka obw'ennugu so obubaka obw'okweyabyaŋŋana wabula obubaka obw'okukwatagana n'okulaba nti buli omu abeera n'ekigambo kimu mu bwongo bwe nga kyakugyako gavumenti ya Mwami Museveni. Ayagala Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba buli muntu avaayo nga ba National Unity Platform wanga munankyukakyuka okwogera ku mitimbagano abeere ng'akulembeza ekigambo kimu kuggyako Mwami Museveni so si kudda mu mboozi zitazimba zitagenda kugyako Mwami Museveni. Agamba tumala obudde bungi mu mboozi ezitazimba era emboozi ezitagatta ku struggle emboozi ez'amalala obulala ne tudda mu biduula mu byepukulu mu kwepiica naye ate nga waliwo ensonga ennene ey'okuggyako gavumenti ya Mwami Museveni. Agamba omulimu omunene ogwayita Kyagulanyi Center mu Robert Bobi Wine kujjako gavumenti ya Mwami Museveni efuze obubi bannayuganda balabisiza obumbula naye ate omulamwa gwa Kyagulanyi gwe yaleeta mmwe abatudde ku media mmwe abali ku social media mmwe abali ku Facebook mmwe abali ku YouTube mmwe abali ku TikTok mugenda mugutta kubanga mugattamu ebintu ebitali bya makulu nga muddira ebintu ebyamakulu ebya struggle okujjako Mwami Museveni Kyagulanyi omulamwa gwatembeeta ate nga mugattako omulamwa ogutali mu makulu ogw'okwepiica. Kati nno ebigambo bya Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba si musanyufu ayagala abeewo okutandikawo enkola ey'okutendeka bonna bagenda okwogera ku social media bagenda okwogera ku lwa NUP nga batuusa obubaka bwa NUP ku social media baweebwe engeri gye bagenda okukwatamu ensonga za National Unity Platform n'ez'okuggyako Mwami Museveni nga buli olukeera alowooza ekyo ng'era obubaka bwakeera okuba bannayuganda so nga sikudda mu byakwepiica na bintu birala ebitagenda gatta ku struggle nti ffenna bwe tunaba nga tuli focused nga tuli ku mulamwa gumu nga tunudde mu kkubo limu nti twagala kuggyako Mwami Museveni nga buli bwongo bwa muvubuka bulimu kyakuggyako Mwami Museveni nga buli muvubuka azuukuka agenda okugenda ku social media asangako obubaka bwa kuggyako Mwami Museveni nti buli omu kijja muyingira kijja kumwambala kijja kumukkuta asalewo asituke wande bwe kunaba nga okuduumiddwa nti kati saawa etuuse yeeno tulumbe buli omu ajja kuba alumba kuba ajja kuba ayina ensonga nti naye bwe tunedda mu kweyawula buli omu n'ayogera kino oli n'ayogera kiri oli n'ayogera kiri mujja kutuuka essaawa ey'okuduumira nga tewali n'omu yenyegenya nga buli omu agamba kannindeko ndabe tunaagenda okumaliriza ng'ate struggle egaanye ng'emenyekedde mu kkubo wakati. Obubaka bwa Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba bingi ebigambo byayogerako era ng'ayagala ebimu bikyukemu ku ffe oba ku mmwe abali ku mitimbagano abatuusa obubaka amawulire eri bannayuganda naddala abavubuka nti tusaana tutuuse packaging gye tupackaginga amawulire gaffe obubaka engeri tubutuuse eri abavubuka eri bannayuganda tusaana tugikyuseemu tugiggyemu obukyayi tugiggyemu okwerumaŋŋana n'okulaba nti ate tweyuzaayuza. Kale kusabukkirize tugende wali mu kibuga Washington DC tufune omubaka Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba myuka Kyagulanyi Center mu Robert Bobi Wine President ng'ayogera ebigambo bye wano mu ggwanga erya America mu NUP Diaspora Convention 2023 anti luggulwawo.
Much appreciated Comrade Waiswa Mufumbiro, the Deputy Party Spokesperson, the Chairperson of our convention and platform in the US, Dr. Kauma and your team, our friends, especially the friends of the People Power Movement. Prof here was with him yesterday, educating us on very critical issues. The leadership of NUP in the People Power Movement in the US and beyond. To you, comrades, members of Parliament, I'll end with you. I'll be very brief this afternoon. First of all, I bring you greetings from the President, who asked me to open this afternoon session because of his schedule. I am sure you'll be with him a lot more in the coming hours and the 2 days ahead of us. The Doctor and your team, I want to appreciate you for organizing this year's convention in DC. If you asked me, the most difficult people to organize are adults. You can organize 100 school children, but not 100 adults into an activity. And especially in an event that is as strenuous as politics. So I want to applaud you, comrades here in this room and outside, for the immense sacrifice you have made to be a part of this convention. And whatever you do to sustain the pressure and the motivation and what brings us together, which is rekindling the spirit that was born at the making of Uganda more than 60 years ago. For you to accept being a part of this is a huge sacrifice to which some of us appreciate immensely. And I want to bring you greetings from Parliament and the team in Parliament that does a very onerous job on a daily basis. You know, I was sharing with colleagues earlier yesterday that just waking up every day as a Ugandan is burden enough. Just wake up as a Ugandan is a huge obligation on your shoulders. It's enough stress for you every day waking up and be reminded that you're actually Ugandan, that you must face an armed tyrant every day without direction, but unable to move or even offer promise and hope that home will be better. Being in the diaspora where you are today, and where you thrive and make effort for a better Uganda is no mean feat. The challenges of being on a foreign land are challenges that really are of huge, a huge calling. The demands home are immense. But the time you spare, the resources you sacrifice, the energy and motivation you give us are the reason why you wake up every day believing and hoping that tomorrow is going to be better. I want to thank you most sincerely, comrades in the diaspora. And to Doctor and your team, for you to be able to come out and say, hey, we're not only interested in what's going on home, but we're going to even offer leadership on the same. Is even a huge sacrifice. I want to thank you, all of you from the different chapters you're coming from, for making that sacrifice. That's what you owe the country called home. And I want to implore you never to give up. I was asked by the committee to speak about the youth, organizing the youth into leadership in their country and their spaces they occupy. It's a very huge subject. It's wide. And and it has no borders. I'm very sure if any one of you were given a microphone to speak about the same, you can speak about the youth until the cows come home. But I want to utilize less than 15 minutes to say the following. The President tasked me with the duty to be in Edmonton to cross a meeting, a gathering of Ugandans. Edmonton has over 7,000 Ugandans. And across the whole week, they have had cultural festivities. And majority of them are people power supporters. So I am going there to close their ceremonies that tomorrow. And with your permission, I will convey your greetings, comrades, to them and encourage them to keep the fire burning. But before I take leave, allow me to say the following. First of all, I don't have the statistics about the demographic composition of, say, the United States or America. But in Uganda, the youth are anywhere between 67 to 75% of the population. Probably, to put it more aptly, the younger people below 30 years constitute that percentage. And they're the biggest dividend of the people power movement. They're the biggest asset of the people power movement. The young people, in fact, I prefer calling them young people than calling them the youth. Because calling them youth could make them believe that they have a lot of time to behave like really little ones. And being young does not make you small. The young people in Uganda are the biggest demographic dividend the people power movement draws from. And part of the reason is because they are inspired by our president. The president inspired so many young people to be interested in their country, in its politics, and its progress, which is why we look at them as our biggest resource. Even without any penny at our disposal, but with these young people, it's more than money, because they are interested. But mark this, they are diverse. We have the educated, the uneducated, the half-educated, the unemployed, the disguisingly employed, the desperate, the hopeful, and the hopeless. All those are categorizations you can think of the young people back home. So any leader wishing to influence the young people must bear in mind this diversity and therefore think through it accordingly to be able to help them and turn them into a resource from which we can draw energy and encouragement. Across time, the youth have been mobilized by our movement. You know, 3 things we must do if you're going to really help and make use of the young people. 1, you must mobilize them from wherever they are. And mobilization has so many facets. It can be by motivation, by inspiration, like the president does, or just deliberate. But when you mobilize them, you also must do 2 other things. 1, you must orient them. Orientation means you must be able to feed them with the right category of knowledge and information so that they are useful. Because the 3rd stage after orientation is deployment. So you must be able to orient them such that at deployment, you are deploying people who are well oriented, who are well exposed on the ethos of the movement, on the dreams of the country you want them to sacrifice for, on the aspirations and dreams of their forebearers, that lived before us at the making of Uganda more than 60 years ago. When you do that, they'll be able to appreciate you. But if you deploy them before orientation, you're asking them to go out there and do as they choose. And that's very dangerous. So the young people must be mobilized, oriented, and deployed. If you don't deploy them, they'll deploy themselves. So you end up with square pegs in round holes. So through the process of orientation, you're able to monitor, sieve, pick this variety of skills at your disposal. Because they are multi-talented, they are multi-skilled. So during orientation, you are able to pick and know which young people are able to do what for you, for a purpose. It's not orientation and deployment for the sake of it. You pick skills, you leverage on the skills, you will know, for example, that when you deploy young people purposefully, it is purposeful deployment because you have gone through orientation and you know what they can do. In our yesteryears, when I was a young Democrat, I have seen former young Democrats in this room. That's how they used to do it before DP assumed a yellow handle. What did I say? So, Comrade Nachijova knows so well how it used to be done. So deployment was purposeful. You'd be deployed according to your skills, and it was helpful. No collision because it is purposeful. Anyway, we know your strengths, we know your weaknesses, and we monitor you according to what we have observed of you. And therefore, our expectations are anchored on what we have known of you and your capacity. That's part of the huge duty that we have for the young people of our times. They are the majority, overwhelmingly and scaringly interested in matters of governance in their country. They are very keen, but they must be fed with the right skills. The yesteryears were years of harvesting from the Industrial Revolution. Our times are troubled times of technological stroke ICT revolution. So what do you do with the younger people that are growing up for orientation and deployment in the technological era? So you must pick the right set of skills to empower them to communicate appropriately and effectively. I am not a communication expert, but communication experts will tell you what it means to communicate appropriately and effectively. If communication is not appropriate and it's not effective, it becomes noise. Who has time for noise? People do not really surrender their precious time for noise. People listen to filtered information. Now the danger for me and you comrades that are in this space, in these troubled times, is how do you choose the right information to give the younger people? Take a small example. Wherever there is a vacuum in communication from the people power stroke NUP enclaves, the younger people are oriented by bloggers. You understand? So they feed them whatever they pick. From whichever garbage skip, they pick and feed them. Because that's what is available for them to pick. Then the question is, do we have a deliberate program to pick, to sieve, to deploy information for the younger people that we are breeding in a technological stroke information age so that they are very useful to what we need? Because communication today makes and breaks. So if you want to be effective, useful, and forceful in how you communicate, You must choose what you want to communicate and for what purpose. So this is the kind of onerous duty that we owe the younger people. As we pick, we train, and deploy them. We must capacitate them. We must empower them to have junctions or moments of asking questions. The times have gone when you could feed the younger people with whatever you want. The young people of our times listen, but also ask questions, including very tough questions. And we must be willing to answer. No leader can lead the younger people with vagueness. The question of the day, are we prepared to face them and respond to their endless questions with firmness and finality, with truthfulness? When you are vague and you're involved in double talk, they can see through. One of the biggest assets at our disposal is the availability of information. So if it is your duty as the LOP to give the young people information, the questions are, have you understood the fact that you do not have monopoly over information? Are you aware that your lies can be double-checked? Are you aware that your lies could be, your information will be impeached for reliability, for truthfulness, and dependability? Those are the younger people. They question your wisdom, they question your direction, they question your intentions, they question your motivation. So we must be prepared to carry them with us in these struggles, aware of their nature. I prefer today to speak about the nature of young people and their operational environment, that we can understand what is around us so that we don't make mistakes, believing that we can carry them through whatever we want to do without being able to respond to their questions. However, mark these two junctions. Young people are like dogs. Even a trained dog needs to be followed up. Even a dog deployed on a mission is supposed to be followed up. Because without follow-up, they can be fatal. Their actions can be fatal. So whoever deploys them for a purpose must follow up and see whether they're actually doing what you agreed on to do. Because they have the propensity for digression is very high. I don't know whether it is the average propensity or marginal propensity, but they are easily divertible over very, very small mundane things. So they need to be followed up. Two, they are younger people that require also tough love. They need tough love. If we babysit them and consider them babies over time, huge mistake. While we speak to them about what matters, we ask sometimes to be tough on them to see the bigger picture. And because they have been brought up in times of dishonesty, insincerity, theft, runaway corruption, it's very easy for them to believe that that's the sine qua non of their time. So how do you summon a capacity to say, hey, I know you know this, but it's stupid for you to believe that that's the way life is led? So while we do whatever we do with them, a minimum level of tough love is desired for us to be able to bring up purposeful, useful, and effectual young people. They are around us. If you invited them and made a head count, my generation and those slightly below me are the minority. We are a very huge minority, so to say. And therefore, if you are the minority and you intend to influence the majority, you must behave yourself in a particular manner that will motivate the majority to believe in the minority. On another day, I would speak about the youth until the cows come home. For a long time, I led the youth, and when I met a group of 10, for 5 minutes, I would tell that they're telling lies. Just looking at their demeanor and what they say, I can tell their direction. Doctor, the team from Uganda, all these members of parliament will tell you that their biggest headache in their communities are young people. They're such a positive headache because their elders gave up. They gave up. So they're a positive headache for us to have. And all debate, man of conversation about them should be around how do we motivate them to do the right thing, to keep doing it, not to give up on it, drum it through their time, and leave it. May God bless you. People power. Our power. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba yamyuka Kyagulanyi Center mu Robert Bobi Wine kuba president mu kitundu ekya Buganda. Yoyo bigambo bye mubiwulidde wano e Washington DC wabadde nga ayogerako eri bannankyukakyuka bannayuganda mu lukuŋŋaana luno olwa NUP Diaspora Convention 2023. Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba yasabiddwa ayogere ku nsonga z'abavubuka oba ayogereko eri abavubuka era nga ensonga z'ayogedde eri abavubuka agamba nti abavubuka tubasuuliridde ba tubalekeredde okuba nti ebigambo bye bafuna ku mitimbagano si byebyo ebituufu bandibadde bafuna ebya struggle nga aboogerera struggle beesuddeyo gwa Nagamba tebawa mawulire gasaanidde eri abavubuka nga abavubuka kye babasanze kye batwala so nga ate abanna struggle bandibadde mulimu abo abatendeke obulungi abaweereddwa omulamwa ogw'okwogera n'abavubuka ab'omulembe guno okusinziira nga trend bwegenda nga beboogera bibanyumira ate nga bibayigiriza nga bibakuumira mu struggle naye abavubuka ennaku zino bye balaba oba bye bawuliriza bye bibasanze byabatamanyi kwogera ebyabatali ku mulamwa ababa amawulire amaboofu amatali mawulire gabagasa ga nkyukakyuka ng'era nabo bibajja okutambula nabyo kyovulaba nti ebiboozibozi bingi ebya diversion oba bidiverting abavubuka okuva ku nsonga enkulu eya Kyagulanyi Center mu Robert Bobi Wine ey'omulamwa gw'okugyako Mwami Museveni kati nga abavubuka bagenda nakiriwo bibanyumira naye ekya Kyagulanyi bagenda bakijja mu mitima gyabwe olw'okuba nti ebiboozibozi bisusse ebitalina mitwe n'amagulu ebitalina makulu nga kyagamba nti wabeewo abo abeetema era abakola omulimu ogwo nga balina okutuusa obubaka obutuufu eri abavubuka buli nnaku nga tebaweera tebatuula tebasamuka tebassa mwoyo nga batuusa obubaka eri abavubuka obw'enkyukakyuka ekinaayamba ensi yaffe okukula nga kino akiyise ekkungakunga nti tulina okukunga abavubuka nga tubawa obubaka bwe baggwanidde obwo obusaanidde okuwulirwa era nga bwankyukakyuka nga bwakugyako Mwami Museveni agamba guno omulimu gulina okukolwa abakulembeze nga bagwewadde ate nga bagenda okwogera ebyo ebigenda okuzimba obwongo bw'omuvubuka okumwagazisa struggle so si kumujja ku struggle ayagala abavubuka baagazisibwe struggle bajje beegatte ku struggle ate banyumirwe struggle era bagifuule yaabwe struggle bajambale nga Kyagulanyi Center Robert Bobi Wine bw'abadde yagibambaza nga kino kirina okukolebwa ggwe nze n'oli ffenna wamu nga tuwongerayo obubaka bw'enkyukakyuka obubaka bwa struggle nga tusinga okutaako ennyo omulamwa ensi yonna ebutegeere buli omu abutegeere atambule n'okumanya ku bikidala ebigenda mu maaso mu nsiike y'ebyenkyukakyuka mu ggwanga Uganda.
Please come over quickly. Or you can speak from there. Do we have a microphone around there that can be passed on? Yes. Thank you.
Please just try to be very brief with the questions because we are really running behind schedule. So just keep the question very short. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Fatu Karama. I'm a Sierra Leonean, but I am a believer in the people power movement, and the NUP. My question to you is, with everything going on in Uganda, I was wondering how you guys are trying to put the youth, the young people together so they will be able to come to the streets, because we have been working hard in the diaspora. So we are waiting for that day that they will come to the streets and bring an end to this dictatorship. So please advise. Thank you.
Very poignant observation. Let me facilitate all the questions, probably they are related.
Yeah, thank you so much, our leader of opposition. I have actually listened to you when you are talking about the youth, and I do agree with you 100% that when it comes to the struggle, I would say I think they are the most diverted people, that even if there is something going on that puts the dictator down, they will divert themselves and go somewhere. I'll give an example. That recently when our president traveled to US to launch his movie in New Jersey, there was also the daughter of the junta back home, she was also launching things mentioned that her dad or her father has done for Ugandans. And then immediately, I think people, you know, there is a singer called Alien Skin. All of a sudden, things come in and they diverted, they start, you know. So, since you know this, what is your arrangement, and other members of parliament that are here, what are you planning to make sure that we keep these youth busy and on issues? Thank you.
Thank you.
What was the third person?
The gentleman across. No, he's up there, behind. Oh.
Okay, only 3 questions.
Let me take this opportunity to say thank you very much, Leader of Opposition. And my question is so simple. You've talked about the youths and the way they are hard to handle. And you talked about how media is diverting them. But sometimes I'm seeing that you give them opportunity to have chances to ask you questions or to question what you're doing. For example, today we're seeing that DP and UPC are part of the opposition in Uganda. But we've never heard you come up say, we are not working with UPC, UPC should have where to sit. But you dialogue with them, yet they are the vice presidents, they are the ministers. So such things make youths to raise up a lot of questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very deep questions and insights. My sister from Sierra Leone, thank you for the interest. Africa is one huge how do you get the youth to really live up to the promise of their time? On another day, I would have shared with you what it takes. I know probably you have an idea to get the youth to where you want them to go. But I will say this, we should never, for some of you who know how grasshoppers are caught, you do not lead the youth the way we catch grasshoppers. Throw a stone in the bush, and then they jump out, and you have no net. They simply go. If the whole youth movement is going to be effectual and consequential, it moves with organization. Back home, what we have embarked on is to have the people power movement more structured and more organized. Once you do that, there will be linear communication. Top, bottom, or bottom, up. When communication is linear, questions are answered without vagueness, issues are responded to with clarity, challenges are handled with fairness and with genuineness. Because the people power movement sprang from the frustration of the politics of the day, there was not enough time to build enduring structures, to incubate it and midwife it. It's an ongoing job. It's not an endless job. It's we play as we organize. It will come to fruition. That I can assure you. Probably comrades that have more time, like the spokesperson will share with you, Comrade Joel, what is at stake and what we are doing to make sure that we are not a scattered movement, that not everybody will come and speak for us. No, that's the job ongoing, that we have clarity. So I answer that question. Comrade is asking, what are you doing to make sure that the youth are not diverted? That question should have been asked in third person plural, not first person singular. When you ask what, you should have asked, what can we do? We are here for a dialogue. What should be done? I don't have an answer 1 + 2 = 3. So we should evolve instead a framework from this room and beyond. Respond to the needs of the youth and make sure that there's no digression of their effort and our effort. That all of us feed in the same basket. There's no single answer that we should do this. But part of the answer is my communication I gave in my preambles, namely that the youth needs to be well organized, oriented, and deployed. If you do not deploy, if you don't orient and deploy, they will do self-orientation and do self-deployment. And they will not be answerable to you. They will ask you, is it you who selected me? Is it you who sent me here? It's my job. I'm doing it on my own. You understand? So they remind you that actually you do not own them. But as long as you confess that you are for the people power movement, you're for NUP, then you must live by the code. That's the essence of mobilization, orientation, and deployment. Those linear activities must move in sync if you're going to avoid diversion and digression. Then my brother, part of what is disturbing the youth is that we are not helping matters. We sit with the UPC and the DP. In our space, I'll speak for the parliamentary space. For instance, it is inevitable if you are going to be consequential as a political group for you to speak to your enemy. Your enemy, speaking to them is not an act of surrender. No way. And leaders should really know that you're not going to run away from your enemy. As long as you are a leader like in my space, it's inevitable. Unless you're a demagogue. But if you're genuine, I must find out what motivates a UPC working with the NRM. Why, for example, we have very good UPC and DP MPs that are working with us. In my shadow cabinet, my shadow minister for defense is the Honorable Jonathan Odul, a UPC member from Erute South, very, very brilliant young man, very committed. He's UPC. So progressively, I can only work with him as long as he's willing to work with me. Same thing with DP. I think we should take people for what they are. And we know we have had the UPCs and DPs denounce the activities of some of their leaders. I have had meetings with DP MPs denouncing Mao and his activities. Should I hold them for what Mao did? I don't think that should be the space of a leader. If today I met my president at Magere and NRM people came to visit him, probably to make confessions or surrender, should I hold the president and say, why did you speak to NRM? We want to lead the country from Chisolo to Zombo, not from Magere to Masaka. And in that space, we have friends and people who are not friends. It's our job to make sure that those people see the folly of their activities and join the liberation for a new Uganda. That's what I can say in the circumstances, comrade. I hope I've answered some of your questions. If I haven't, I pray that the comrades coming after me will probably try to respond. And I want to ask of you kindly to allow me to take leave. I'll miss the subsequent sessions, but I promise, Doctor, on another day, a good life, we would meet and pray that we meet in Canada next month. God bless you.
We meet in Canada next month. Omwezi ogujja gwa mwenda tugenda kuba Canada Diaspora Convention 2023. Guno omwaka omwezi ogw'omunaana ebadde US Convention, omwezi ogw'omwenda egenda kuba Canada, era nga mukulu Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba kati gy'ayolekedde enteekateeka zitandike, ate okulaba nti President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine agenda okutuukayo nga ensonga ziteredde nga buli kimu kiri mulaala, so kati gy'ayolekedde ate agirinnye abaana bagivuge ate paka Canada. Omukulembeze Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine gy'anaabeera omwezi ogujja ogw'omwenda mu convention eye Canada. Kati ye abombye atemye Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba. Ebigambo bye bibadde ku muvubuka kubanga yasabiddwa ayogere ku bavubuka. Agambye nti obuzibu bwe tulina bwa information bwa mawulire agatambula. Amawulire agatambula mu bavubuka si mawulire ga struggle. Amawulire agasinga okutambula agamu agataliiko. Amawulire ag'okwawukana yawukana, amawulire agatali ga kutambulira ku mulamwa gwe gumu, amawulire agatali ga kwogera kintu kimu, amawulire agatali nti nno ffenna tussa kimu, amawulire ag'okweyawulayawula. Era bamubuuzizza ku kiriwo ekyali N-Skin nti mu kifo ky'okugattako aye twawulako bwawuzi nti era lwaki bakolagana ate n'abakulembeza ebibiina ebirala ate nga bali ku ludda oluwakanya Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine n'enkyukakyuka. Agambye nti abantu bonna tulina okwogera nabo kubanga tubeetaaga. Tetugenda ffe aba National Unity Platform si bakufuga Uganda kuva Magere paka Masaka, bakufuga Uganda from Zombo to Kabale. Ati n'olwekyo buli muntu yeetaagisa mu struggle eno ate nga tulina mwogereza bwogereza so si kumusindika. Naawe ekyokulabirako nti businga agenda e Magere okukyalira Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine n'asangayo abakibiina kya National Resistance Movement nga bagenze Magere era nga balina bye boogera ne Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine nti olwateeke Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine kalabba nti lwaki atoyogera n'aba NRM ng'ate ali mu baperereza bayingira NUP, nti n'olwekyo naawe bw'osangwa National Unity Platform ng'ayogera n'aba NRM oba n'osanga oli nga wa NRM naye nga ayagala enjiri ya National Unity Platform olina kumusikiriza busikiriza ayongere okunywera mu National Unity Platform, so tomukuba mufulumya National Unity Platform nti ate gwe wali ate gwe okolera Museveni ate gwe okolera MK ate gwe baakugula, nti tokuba mufulumya wabula kuba kumuyingiza mu National Unity Platform kumunywereza muli so si mufulumya. N'olwekyo amawulire agatambula mu bavubuka ensangi zino nga gafulumya abantu mu National Platform, Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba agamba nti si malungi era gasaanye okukoma. Tuteekewo enteekateeka ennungi nga tuyingiza buyingiza abantu mu National Platform nga tubagasa bwagayisa National Platform so kugibasaayisa. Ebigambo bibwe bityo bitambudde bibadde binyuvu nga birimu eggumba ate nga birimu okuyiga n'okwebuulirirako eri ayagala okuyiga era ayagala okwebuulirira ate munnankyukakyuka owa ddala ayagala enkyukakyuka ebya ddala sese yeeyisaako yajja nga yenoonyeza bibye. Mbebaza mwenna ababaddeko nga mutulaba, nsiima nnyo byonna bye mukola wammwe kyabugagga kye nnina. Singa temujja kulaba amawulire gano kiba kitegeeza nkolera bbule, ne bwe mujja ne mugalaba kiteba kitegeeza mwagala okumanya ebifa mu ggwanga lyammwe, mwagala okumanya ebifa mu nsi yammwe. Mukama Katonda gwe nsaba bankuumire oyo kabamba ggulu nnyini byonna bulijjo wadde sinze mulagira naye leero nsaba n'obwetwazo bw'ekika ekya waggulu banywanyi omukama abankuumire tujja kuddamu tuwaye mweraba.